Welcome to the deep dive. We're all swimming in this ocean of information every day, right? And sometimes you just want someone to pull out the really key stuff, the fascinating bits.
Exactly. That's what we try to do here. We take the sources you're interested in, dig in, and give you the core insights, hopefully with a few aha moments along the way.
And today, we're doing just that with something I think offers a really unique glimpse into, well, historical medical thinking. We're looking at Caulophyllum thalictroids,
Also known as blue cohosh.
right? Blue cohosh. And our guide is William Boericke's Homeopathic Materia Medica. Now, for anyone not familiar, a materia medica like Boericke's is essentially a detailed catalog of substances used as remedies.
Yeah, it lists out symptoms observed, often with this principle of cures, guiding it. It's a whole different way of looking at the body and illness compared to now.
It really is. It's kind of an art form based purely on observation and patient reports, isn't it? Before all the lab tests we rely on today.
Absolutely. It was about recognizing these unique symptom pictures, and blue cohosh apparently painted a very specific one for Boericke.
Okay, so our mission for this deep dive, let's unpack blue cohosh through Boericke's eyes. We want to get into its main uses, especially as a so-called woman's remedy, find those surprising connections to other parts of the body.
And really highlight the incredible precision in how the symptoms were described, sort of a shortcut for you into understanding this specific entry.
Great, so where do we start? Boericke calls it a woman's remedy right off the bat.
He does, and the core idea seems to be this want of tonicity of the womb, basically a perceived lack of muscle tone or strength there. That's kind of the foundational concept for its use in female health.
Okay, want of tonicity. And then you see how that plays out in specific situations like during labor. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, he mentions it for when, the pains are deficient, the woman is exhausted and fretful, things aren't moving along effectively.
And he mentioned something really specific. Extraordinary rigidity of us. That's the cervix opening being unusually stiff.
Exactly, which is sort of counterintuitive during labor, right? You expect dilation, not rigidity.
And beyond just being stiff, there's the type of pain described.
Right. He talks about spasmodic and severe pains which fly in all directions, almost chaotic pain, also shivering without progress, false pains.
False pains. So pains that don't actually achieve anything in terms of labor progressing.
Precisely. And the idea was that Caulophyllum could potentially revive the right kind of labor pains and help things move forward. It's also noted for after pains, the cramps after birth.
So it seems keyed into this very specific pattern of pain, severe, erratic, maybe unproductive.
That seems to be the recurring theme. And what's really fascinating, I think, is how this same erratic quality pops up elsewhere.
You mean like with the joints? That part seemed quite unexpected when I read it.
It does seem unrelated at first glance, but Boericke describes for the extremities severe drawing, erratic pain and stiffness in small joints, fingers, toes, ankles, etc.
Small joints, specifically. Fingers and toes.
Yes, and aching in wrists, cutting pains on closing hands. And there it is again, erratic pains, changing place every few minutes.
Just like the description of the labor pains flying in all directions.
Exactly. It suggests Boericke saw this underlying pattern, this signature of shifting, migratory discomfort, whether it was in the uterus or the knuckles. It wasn't just random symptoms, it was a characteristic.
Okay, that starts to paint a clearer picture. It's like the plant itself has this personality that shows up in different ways.
You could sort of think of it like that.
And this pattern extends beyond labor, right, into other conditions.
Oh, yes. For instance, leucorrhea, which is vaginal discharge. Boericke adds a very specific visual with moss spots on forehead.
Moth spots.
Yeah.
That's incredibly precise, like discoloration on the forehead linked to this internal condition.
It's a classic example of that detailed, holistic observation, looking for connections across the body. Then there's a more serious one. Habitual abortion from uterine debility.
So recurrent miscarriage potentially linked back to that initial idea of a weak or lacking in tone uterus.
Correct. And think about the description for dysmenorrhea painful periods. He notes needle-like pains in cervix. Again, a very specific imagery.
Needle-like pains. Wow. And do those pains also have that erratic quality?
He says they are flying to other parts of body. So yes, that theme continues. It's also mentioned for lochia protracted, meaning postpartum discharge that goes on too long.
Which could relate back to uterine tone again.
Plausibly, yeah. And he explicitly mentions great atony, meaning a significant lack of muscle tone, usually referring to the uterus after birth. And also for heavy periods or discharge, menses and leukorrhea profuse.
It seems like the common threads are often this lack of tone or strength, combined with that characteristic, erratic, maybe spasmodic spreading kind of pain.
That definitely seems to be the core picture Boericke is painting.
It really makes you appreciate the level of observation required back then. You had to notice these subtle patterns and connections without scans or tests.
Absolutely. And there are even a couple more sort of outliers that reinforce this broad reach.
Ooh, like what?
Well, he mentions thrush, the yeast infection, says it can be used locally and internally.
Interesting. And anything related to digestion, I feel like spasmodic often comes up there.
Good point. Yes, for the stomach.
Mm.
Cardialgia, which is like heartburn or stomach pain, spasms of stomach, and dyspepsia, indigestion, again with spasmodic symptoms.
So even there, that spasmodic, maybe erratic quality seems relevant.
It seems to be the signature, yes. And one more link back to the female sphere, the skin connection again. Discoloration of skin in women with menstrual and uterine disorder.
Like the moth spots maybe being one example of that.
Possibly, yes. It reinforces that observed link between internal female health and external signs. It's these details, the needle pains, the moth spots, the erratic quality that show just how meticulous this historical documentation was. They were looking for the unique fingerprint of the condition and the remedy.
Okay, so stepping back as we wrap up this exploration of Caulophyllum thalictoids, it's been quite a journey through Boericke's lens. We've definitely seen its strong identity as a woman's remedy.
Absolutely, anchored by that central idea of a want of tonicity of the womb.
And we saw how that applied in labor, dealing with things like that extraordinary rigidity of os, or those really distinctive spasmodic and severe pains which fly in all directions.
Right, and its potential use historically for things like habitual abortion from uterine debility, real specific applications based on observation.
Then there was that surprising detour into the smaller joints, fingers, toes, ankles. But even there, we found that same pattern of unpredictable shifting pains.
Echoing the labor pains, yeah. And then the mentions for thrush and that recurring discoloration of skin in women, tying it all together in a way.
This whole deep dive into Boericke, it really highlights the just the sheer detail and the observational skill that went into compiling these materia medicus.
It really does. It gives you a unique window into how health knowledge evolved and how these intricate connections within the body were seen and documented. It's a reminder that, past generations had their own very sophisticated ways of understanding illness, very tuned in to the body's subtle signs.
Definitely. It's food for thought. Which brings us to our final provocative thought for you today. Consider how these incredibly precise, almost poetic descriptions, needle-like pains in cervix, moth spots on forehead, linked to leukorrhea, how they speak to maybe a lost art of detailed observation.
An art focused on what could be seen and described meticulously.
Exactly. And what might we, today, learn from looking back at these historical approaches? Especially when so much of our modern medicine focuses on what diagnostics can reveal, things off invisible to the naked eye. What's the value in that deep human observation?
That's a great question to ponder.
Something to think about. Until next time on The Deep Dive.